Some call me the sage from South Central. Others call me the czar of common sense. But you can call me Larry Elder. And you're invited to join me tonight, starting at 7, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. It's been a lovely morning. We've learned all about poppers from all the drug addicts and first responders and criminal defense attorneys that chime in on this.
Yeah, poppers are to wake people up who are unconscious.
Or to assault Bette Midler.
Exactly.
Yeah, there are multiple purposes. And we're also learning that Matt Lauer is contrite-ish over what he is accused of having done.
Once again, NBC is leading the news on investigating their own, and Matt Lauer.
Yeah,
I mean, this is great. How convenient for them. Matt Lauer has spoken through a statement.
This morning, it is a difficult morning here again because our top story is once again about our former colleague, Matt Lauer.
And in fact, we just moments ago received a statement from Matt, and let me read it to you. There are no words to express my sorrow and regret for the pain I have caused others by words and actions. To the people I have hurt, I am truly sorry. As I am writing this, I realize the depth of the damage and disappointment I have left behind at home and at NBC. Some of what is being said about me is untrue or mischaracterized, but there is enough truth in these stories to make me feel embarrassed and ashamed. I regret that my shame is now shared by the people I cherish dearly. Repairing the damage will take a lot of time and soul searching, and I'm committed to beginning that effort.
Yeah.
It is now my full-time job.
Yeah.
The last 2 days have forced me to take a very hard look at my own troubling flaws. It's been humbling. I am blessed to be surrounded by people I love. I thank them for their patience and grace.
He said hard.
I know. He said some of what is being said about him is untrue or mischaracterized.
Well, sure. I mean, there's all kinds of things that are being said. The question is, are the specific allegations against him true and not mischaracterized? That's the question. I mean, he should have stopped when he said there are no words. So don't use them. Okay. Thank you, Matt Lauer. I get it. And I know that Savannah and everybody over at the Today Show is just beset by having to pick over his bones for ratings on the Today Show.
And then last night they had the tree lighting ceremony in Rockefeller Plaza, and they all looked puffy-eyed from crying all day. And,
they're so put
they're
upon.
just smiling like, okay, we got to get through this. We just got to carry on.
Sure. Who knew? I mean, it's such a shock. Who knew that Matt Lauer was such a sleaze? Well, NBC executives knew. Most of them knew. Megyn Kelly, who's been there for 5 minutes, said she heard rumors. But nobody else did.
We heard rumors when he and David Bloom would come visit. They'd always say, "Be careful, they're skirt chasers." Yeah. So everybody knew.
So here's how this is visiting itself in the political arena. You got an attorney general candidate in Michigan. You ready for this?
Yeah.
Attorney general candidate Dana Nessel is a Democrat in Michigan, and she is making her case to the voters in no uncertain terms.
If the last few weeks has taught us anything, it's that we need more women in positions of power, not less. So, when you're choosing Michigan's next attorney general, ask yourself this. Who can you trust most not to show you their penis in a professional setting? Is it the candidate who doesn't have a penis? I'd say so.
Hi.
Okay.
Wow.
All right. There you go.
Oh my gosh.
All right. I'd like candidate Nessel to prove that. I mean, we shouldn't take politicians at their word.
Oh my gosh. I mean, that's provocative.
I've heard it all before, Miss Nessel. Read my lips, no new taxes. I didn't have sexual relations with that woman. I won't sexually harass my staff. I won't show you my staff. I've heard it all before. Why should I believe you now? I've been burned too many times. This is how silly it's getting. This is the mania that we've been talking about, the distinction between serious allegations that deserve serious attention and then categorizing everything as the same, regardless of the quality of the allegation or the credibility of the accuser. You have to make distinctions in this life. You have to do the work. For more on this topic, and I won't ask him to respond directly to Ms. Nessel in Michigan. We're pleased to be joined by Representative Adam Kinzinger, of course, Republican congressman from Illinois' 16th Congressional District. Adam, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
I mean, like...
Wow. Wow.
You know, hi, good to be with you.
Hi.
Yeah.
I heard the ad, and I'm just like, wow, that's where we're at now. But okay.
Yeah, it's referendums on body parts. That's how we're going to elect people. That seems intelligent, doesn't it?
Or maybe you should write and be like, I promise I'm not going to murder somebody.
Yeah.
Or, all this kind of stuff. Maybe, if we're down to those basic promises, I guess, well, okay.
But there is a serious now. Okay, so let's separate the silly, what we were just talking about, from the serious, and the issue of how Congress treats allegations against members of Congress. That's been highlighted by the John Conyers case.
Yeah.
The process that accusers have to go through, the hush money that is paid out, the slush fund that exists. What is to be done about all of that?
Yeah, so we're going to fix it. I mean, the vast majority of us, in fact, we had a conference meeting yesterday, which is where all the Republican congressmen to get together to talk about the week. And this issue came up. I mean, the vast majority of us had no idea how this process worked because, we haven't been charged or accused. And so, why would you necessarily know? And what happened is it's the Congressional Accountability Act in 95. This was put into effect. So you hear about the $17 million or whatever that was paid out. The vast majority of that, from what I understand, we're trying to get a total number, was like asbestos claims. It's maybe a workplace discrimination. Somebody said they were fired because they were old versus, whatever else. But the sexual harassment falls under that. So what we're going to do, or I say we being, the folks that are on the administration committee, are getting in there to figure out, what do we need to do to make sure that a congressman who's accused still has due process, but that it's not this sort of hush money, everything's kept private scheme so that people, serial harassers or whatever, can get away with it. And I think it's important to bring that out into daylight, to flush that out correctly, but to do it where everybody has due process. And, ultimately the vast majority of people I work with out here are fantastic people that wouldn't do things, but you have a few that are, and they need to be exposed.
Well, as a congressman, when did you know or become privy to this sexual harassment fund that they had set up for people?
When you guys did, it was when it all hit the news. I mean,
really, that's when you found out as well?
Yeah, that's actually the vast majority of people, and even folks on the House Admin Committee can't fully answer the questions because it's an automatic process that was set up in 95 or 96 under, I think, the Congressional Accountability Act, and it actually was a step to the right direction from where we were prior to 96, but they're getting all this information together, coming together and saying, okay, well, here's where the payouts have been and everything else. So we will have more information. We'll hopefully have that situation fixed or corrected, however you want to say it, changed by next week. This week we're passing the bill that says, now we have to do a mandatory sexual harassment training, which me and my office actually completed yesterday. And so, yeah.
I appreciate the kind of signaling nature of some of this. The same thing's happening in Springfield. Of course, what's not happening in Springfield is actually the disclosure of the complaints that were left untended to for more than a year when there was no legislative inspector general. So, the kind of mandatory sexual harassment training. I mean, did you learn anything about, that you're supposed to keep your hands to yourself and respect people? I mean, is this news?
It's to be honest with you, like for somebody like me that's been in a workplace for a long time, it's kind of CYA. To be honest with you,
right, exactly.
For a new intern coming in or somebody that's never really worked, it's important. But I'm a military guy, and I mean we do this every quarter, so to me it was nothing new. And look, I was raised in a good home to teach. Hey, it's basically keep your hands to yourself, especially if you're a boss, for goodness sakes.
Right.
President Trump. President tweets. You like that?
No,
President Trump has a tweet backlash. I mean, under fire for tweeting those anti-Muslim videos. Did you take a look at any of those?
Yeah, I didn't see the video, but yeah, I'm familiar, obviously, with all that.
But he's getting a rare rebuke from, UK's Prime Minister, Theresa May, and even the Dutch said that that's not the guy in the crutches. The person that's attacking him is a Dutch national. So,
yeah.
I mean, when is this craziness going to stop? Because it's so wildly irresponsible.
Yeah, I don't defend a lot of the president's Twitter use. I think some of it, I think a president or a politician in general should always punch up, not down. I think the war on terror, we have to understand that this is a generational fight. It's not just going to be we're going to have Muslims actually reject this philosophy. And these tweets don't help. At the same time, there is a bit of hysteria, which is we're going to lose the war on terror because of a presidential tweet. Not true. I mean, look, we're, it's not as dramatic as some people play it out to be. Now, I'll be honest, though, and say I wish the president would run his tweets through some filter of, hey, is this presidential or isn't it? But at the same time, this isn't, the beginning of World War III because of what the president's tweeted out. There's a lot of hysteria and, everywhere. People need to take a deep breath and, frankly, enjoy Christmas when it's coming.
We'll enjoy Christmas more if we get tax cuts passed.
Amen, brother.
I know that's on the Senate side now, but what are you hearing about the prospects for the Senate to get their plan out this week, and then you guys to conference and reconcile it and get it to the president's desk before said Christmas?
Let me preface this by saying I was very optimistic about Obamacare repeal.
Yes.
So take this for what it's worth. But I actually think we're in a way better position. This came out with huge numbers in the House. I think the Senate's going to get there and then pass whatever their version is. And then I think we're going to stay in session. We actually may come back a day early next week. Typically, I think we're going to come in like Tuesday. I think we're going to come in Monday to go right to conference, depending on when the Senate passes, because we don't want to delay. We want to go right to conference. We don't want to speed through it unnecessarily, but get this thing done by the end of the year. And I think it'll just be a huge breath of fresh air into the economy and something we need.
All right. He is Congressman Adam Kinzinger, who was raised in a good home and taught to keep his hands to himself, just for the record.
Well, it's refreshing. It really is.
Republican from the 16th. Adam, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
You bet, guys. Take care.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is the